Good morning and welcome to another episode of Tax Sale Starters, where we bring you the insights and tips on tax lien and tax deed investing. This week is no different. I'm still bringing back Brian Seidensticker from the Tax Sale Resources Organization. He is the founder and the CEO. He has a lot of information and insight in tax sales, and so I want to bring that information to you. I actually took this week to go a little bit deeper into what Brian was talking about in our last episode, where he was talking about land banks, and getting property over the county. So when we come right back, I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to get Brian to go a little bit deeper so we can get some insight into why there's value in getting properties prior to an auction. I'll see you in just a second. All right. Well, thanks, Brian. Thank you for joining us again. It's always great to have you here and to be providing this insight for us. So I want to jump right into the first question that everyone wanted to know. We were getting comments and people were giving me back feedback in regards to the land bank question. You were talking about buying these properties prior to going to auction. What we wanted to understand or get a better insight on is, why is that valuable? What is the benefit of getting properties prior to going to an auction or getting the property outside of an auction?
It's different, I guess, in my opinion, whether you're buying secondary market liens versus deeds. I think for the advantages on the deed side really comes down to not having the competition of an auction environment. And in reality, the property's gone through typically multiple sales in Indiana, for example. It goes through 3 levels of going to sale before it ever ends up on the county list of properties that they're selling. So nobody wanted it 3 times, typically for a reason. In some cases, it's because the back taxes are just too high. It's, what they're going to have to pay at the auction is actually more than the property might be worth to most investors. And in some cases, the county, if they end up owning the property, they'll eliminate those taxes, and now it might make sense. So you're really, on the deed side, you're really, from the county or land bank, you're really talking about diamonds in the rough there, and finding those few diamonds in a lot of rough stuff. And buying liens over the counter from the county is similar. Typically, they're only available because they went to auction and nobody bought them for one reason or another. It could be obvious stuff like the property's worthless, a strip of sidewalk, or the strip of land along the highway, right? There's really no value to it unless you got a unique model. But there's certainly cases where nobody bought it because there was no data on it. It was a new parcel that they added. There's really no property information, and investors typically will always shy away on the being conservative side. If they don't know anything about it, they don't buy it. And it could be a multi-million-dollar property that was just built. Who knows? That stuff does exist, but it is definitely a diamond in the rough. Lien, I'll dig into liens a little bit since they're different in my mind. Secondary market liens, anyway. Really, there's 2 types of institutional level tax lien investors out there. There's guys that actually want the real estate, and there's guys that don't want the real estate. It might be great real estate they end up with, but they don't really want to own it. And so negotiating with them and buying those properties, you end up owning the property without ever having to own the lien, without ever having to wait. And you get, good deals per se, because you're not having to bid up or have the competition of an auction environment. So there's certainly an advantages there. The lien side of it is typically those guys that don't want the real estate will sell those liens at the tail end when it's starting to look like it might become real estate. And so if your goal, and you're familiar with liens enough and you understand what to do with those, that you don't want to wait the full length of the redemption period, you can buy those liens, typically at somewhat of a discount, with some exceptions out there. And then you can run it through that last leg of the process, and all of a sudden you're the guy that ends up being the real estate owner, and you didn't have to wait the full redemption process. So if you know what you're doing, it can be highly advantageous.
Brian, thank you so much for that information. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. All right, y'all. You heard it, Brian Seidensticker, Tax Sale Resources. And of course, we're going to bring him back next week for more insight and more information until we can just get all of the information we can from him so that you're a smarter investor. Don't forget to check out taxsalefinders.com, where you can find your latest auction lists, do the research on your properties. It's the next best thing to sliced bread. And as always, don't forget, hit the like and the share button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Come back next week, drop your comments, and we'll make sure we answer the questions that are most important to you. Until next time, happy investing.